Hello and welcome to this bonus podcast, the Brief Notes Guide to Employability Skills Workshops. In this episode, we hear from Ashley Fulford, the workshop tutor, about what's involved and how you can access this really useful course. My colleague Steve Taylor recently caught up with Ashley and started by asking him what we mean by employability skills and why they're important.
So employability skills are those skills that perhaps you don't even think about as a young person and as a cadet. And they're the soft skills or the transferable skills that you spend an awful lot of time developing in the cadet forces or youth organisations. They're things that differentiate you from lots of other young people and make you more attractive to employers in the business space and in the marketplace. You look to find your job of the future.
What sort of things are we talking about? What sort of skill sets are transferable from the cadet experience to the workplace?
So some of the typical skills that we're looking at are communication skills, the ability to work as a team and collaborate with people around you, time management skills, being able to present things effectively, think about problems and how you might solve them. And in addition to that, how you would use the appropriate resources or equipment and even other skills of other people to try to facilitate a proper solution to a problem and also to just work better in the environment that you end up being employed in.
Lots of examples that I'm sure cadets and members of youth organisations can think of. Well, if you think just about the cadet piece, I guess, Ashley, the sort of things you're talking about is if they try and think about a command task and all of the skills that they have to use in that. Would that be a good example?
Certainly a command task would be a good example, whether it be a leader-led command task or a leader-less command task. If you were the leader, that speaks for itself, where you're using some of those communication skills and thinking things through and coming up with a solution to a problem, and the team are looking at you to kind of move things forward. But perhaps also a leaderless command task where it is all about collaboration, it's all about cooperation, it's all about consultation with some of your colleagues so that you do actually work in harmony and work well in an environment or any company or workplace today. And being able to do all of those without being a leader in it with a big L are equally as important as that leadership role itself.
I imagine a lot of employers, when they get to the recruitment stage, will take it as a given that the candidates have got the minimum requirements, the academic requirements to apply for a post. If they're able to demonstrate these transferable skills, does that make them a better candidate? Are they more employable?
If we look at all the things we've talked about, as you've described, Steve, as transferable skills that can be transferred from the cadet environment to the workplace, to the family environment, or anywhere for that matter, the transferable skills that you've learnt as a member of the cadet forces or another uniformed youth organisation will absolutely put you ahead of some other candidates that have been not exposed to some of those opportunities and situations that you would have found yourself in. And perhaps examples of that outside of the command task situation would be being able to stand up and present to a group of people, being able to pass on information and instructions to a group of people. We would see that as in the cadet forces or youth organisations of being able to teach lessons or give demonstrations. All those examples are absolutely some attributes that many young people may not have got because they've not had the same opportunities in the cadet forces.
And that could be the difference when they go for an interview, just simply being able to stand up and give a presentation to whoever's doing the recruiting. That could be the real start. That's the difference from the start.
It absolutely could be. Just as being able to walk into an interview situation with a degree of confidence and look people in the eye and being able to talk clearly and answer questions properly and listen to what those questions are, listening skills, so that you do give the interviewers the best possible amount of information about you as a person, being very smart and presentable. And that, we do that to a very large extent in uniformed youth organisations. So all those things will put you absolutely at an advantage with many of your peer group.
And I guess the ability to have a plan before you go into that interview, to make an impression, and all of the things that you've spoken about is tremendously important in making that first impression. But there's also a need, I suspect, to translate the military speak and some of the jargon of the cadet experience and translate that into, should we best call it civilian speak, or the language that a recruiter will understand.
Yeah, in our Unit 3 preparing for employability or our tutorial, we cover some of those things because we get very used in the cadet forces to talking about things in particular ways. So being able to translate using the word lesson to, let's call it a presentation. Let's think about some of the instructions that we're giving, and perhaps in the work environment, they might be some standard work instructions that we might talk about. So that translation between the two, we certainly give you some hints and tips on in the employability workshop.
I know from talking to a number of young people, when they enter the workplace, there is something of a culture shock to some degree, because in all businesses, in all organisations, there is a hierarchy from the top management down to whatever we might call it, the shop floor for the sake of the argument. Is it the case that cadets perhaps have a better understanding of how that hierarchy works because they're used to a rank structure, for example, so they know how to deal with those above and below them on whatever level they're working at?
In the cadet forces or youth organisations, we are used to hierarchical structure. There is one of those in most organisations or workplaces. I think as a young person that's been aware of that, the cadet NCO ranks or what officers do or what adult instructors do, I think that sets you up in a good way to realise that in the workplace there is a similar structure. But I think I would emphasise that in the workplace, it is a structure that is slightly softer than we would see in the military environment. But how does that translate well to the cadet forces? We're all volunteers in the cadet force, whether it would be a young person or an adult. So therefore, that kind of slightly harder approach, perhaps slightly firmer approach to an organisational structure is less so in the cadet forces because we're all volunteers and we all want to remain part of that organisation. So that therefore translates very well to the civilian employment world where those structures are there, but they are definitely exercised in a more careful and, say, slightly less hard way.
Now, you run the Employability Skills Workshops. Tell me a little bit about that. How do they work?
So the Employability Skills Workshops that are allied to Unit 3, which is part of, the suite of units that you can select from or young people can select from to complete their BTEC Level 2. We run them on a monthly basis, mostly online, but they can be run face-to-face as well over a period of 2 or 3 hours, where we will look at things such as what transferable skills are. So we make it very clear to those that attend what they've done in their youth organisation as a direct transferable effect into the employment world. We would also cover things around writing a CV and what are the critical things that you might want to include in your CV with a connection to a role or job specification, which looks at what the job that you might be applying for actually requires you to do, but also what we call the person or people specification, which are more based around the qualities of the person and very much focuses on some of these transferable or soft skills. So we'll cover those two specifications. And we'll also talk at length about interview skills and some of the do's and don'ts, also things to think about and possible questions that you might get before you go to interview so that you can get them all prepared in your head and then give the best account of yourself in that environment.
Being prepared. That's a major bit of going for interview, isn't it, Ashley? And I guess one of the things that the cadets, the learners who come on the workshops, one of their questions must be how to answer the difficult question. And there are difficult questions and sometimes trick questions in interviews, aren't there? Do you cover that as well?
Yep. We cover what I would call more routine questions. And as you say, those difficult questions that the interview panel might ask you, such as, and these are things that can be thought about and prepared before, but such as, where do you see yourself in 3-5 years' time? And I know for a young person, that seems a long way away. But time flies very quickly, and before you know it, you're kind of on that journey to 3 to 5 years.
It catches up with you rather quickly, doesn't it?
It does. And then also, we also cover some of the questions that you, as the person being interviewed, might wish to ask those that interview you, the interview panel or the interviewer. Such as, what do you expect from this role? What questions have I not answered, possibly as well as I could have done for you? And how would you like me to elaborate further? We think about questions from the interviewers and also some questions you might want to consider when we're at the end of the interview, when you get the opportunity to ask them some questions from yourself.
How long does the workshop last?
The workshop typically lasts, we'll say, about 2 hours maximum. If it's delivered online, and say that's I normally do those once a month at this point in time. About 2 hours, there's some bit of pre-work and pre-reading that you get sent before 2 hours. And then if we do a face-to-face one, they tend to be slightly longer, which would possibly be 3 hours. But it's that type of time.
As a CV college learner, if you're doing the BTEC, you don't have to have opted for Unit 3, which is Employability Skills. Anybody who is a CV college learner can access this course, can't they?
They can. So absolutely, learners can select this Unit 3 as part of their qualification. But if they want to do this as we say, a tutorial, where they get a little bit of extra added value from attending this, as on the back of their qualification, then anyone can attend. As long as they're signed up for the qualification, should they want to use this unit or not, they can attend.
So how can people get more information about accessing the workshop?
So if you're interested in doing the workshop towards your qualification as Unit 3 or as a general tutorial, then you can go on to the website, cvcollege.org, and register through that website. And then someone will contact you, or you can select one of the dates, and then I will contact you to invite you to one of the sessions that's running. And typically at the moment, they tend to be on a Tuesday night, as I said, the first Tuesday of every month.
Remember, the Employability Skills Workshops are open to any CV College learner. You can find all the information on how to access the online sessions at the website at cvcollege.org. My thanks to Ashley Fulford for that valuable insight, and I hope you found this edition of Brief Notes useful.